If you compare this life in LA, Hong Kong, Dubai, and Singapore, what's your favorite? And okay, let's start with what's your favorite.
Okay, super hard question. I think for me, LA was great because is that growing up in that American culture where you can do anything, kind of question, that sort of American, that optimism, right? But I also appreciate the fact that I'm Korean, so I was quite grounded in a lot of the Korean principles of family and those, work ethic, those value systems. Hong Kong was wild at that time. That was, I think, I was there in sort of 2006, 2007, before the financial crisis. So those were always,
golden years.
Golden years, right? And Hong Kong at that time was, to me, like New York, but better because it had that Asian overlay. And then Dubai was a time where that's when I changed careers. I had a young family. And Dubai's motto is very much that anything's possible or nothing's impossible. And I actually really felt that when I lived there. I felt I could do anything. I felt I could change careers. I felt I could have a family. So I felt I could question the system. And then with Singapore, my kids are a little bit older, and now the way that the world is so polarized in many ways, and the news coming out of the U.S. is always about gun crimes and violence. I mean, I have to appreciate Singapore for the safety and the boundaries. I mean, even in my own work, I talk to patients about the importance of freedom and boundaries. You can have freedom in terms of whatever you want to eat and no boundaries, but guess what? That boundary will ultimately be your health, and that. So, but then equally, you have some boundaries in what you eat. Then the freedom is the freedom for your body and your health. So I think of Singapore a little bit in that sort of context of there's that fine line between the freedom and boundaries, which is working really well.
Dubai seems a little bit like Singapore in the 70s. So they're trying to get ideas from all over the world. They try to get in like the best people from all over the world. And they're quite successful with this strategy, I think. It's like, there are like pros and cons, but it works. The strategy, I think, works for them.
I think you know what it is. It's information is key, right? The more information you have, the better data set, and you can make better decisions. So, to pull it back to my role in nutrition, it's the same thing. I have people who come in and they want to consult with me, and they have no diagnostics, and I tell them, look, I can't. It's hard for me to work with you by just looking at you. But if I have diagnostics and I have data on you, then I can make a better decision with you, to help your health problems. So I think governments are the same. Or even when you're in finance, the more information you have about how the market's moving, same thing. I think Dubai is a beautiful place because it's that Middle East idea is that they're pulling ideas and thoughts and world leaders from the East, the West, and they kind of they have this access, and then they look at what's best and what applies for them, and then they can make really great decisions in that way.
When you moved to Hong Kong, was it for you like you appreciated Asia because you have Asian roots, or it didn't really matter for you?
I think it doesn't really matter for Hong Kong at the time. I think it was so open and welcoming to the world. So it was really it was more industry led because Hong Kong was very finance, legal, that sort of industry. For me, I still love Hong Kong now. It's changed, it's changing, but that's what happens. But I think for me, the draw was more the energy, the dynamic international kind of influences.
This was the golden era for Hong Kong. What's the craziest memory from your time in Hong Kong?
I have to say there's a lot of memories, but I think the beauty of Hong Kong is that it was very dynamic, a lot of industries, but also just the physical the way Hong Kong is. You have mountains, you have a beach, you have, you can be hiking one morning and you could be on the beach in the afternoon, and you can be in Macau. It's just the way the actual construct is pretty unique.
For you think at some point you go back to the US or to Korea or somewhere else?
This is the hard part, right? Once you've lived abroad as an expat, it's kind of hard to decide where will be home. In an ideal world, I'd love to spend 6 months somewhere, 6 months somewhere else, but I think it's hard to say.
Yeah, same for me actually. Like my ideal life is like maybe 3 months or 4 months, like 3 different locations around the world.
Yes,
like
exactly.
maybe one in Europe, one in Singapore,
Yeah.
one somewhere else,
Yeah,
and then you can.
Exactly.
But the kids need to be grown up, so the kids need to go to uni.
I think
somewhere.
I think where the kids go will somewhat decide, you know.
Yeah.
So because I think, you know, the Western idea where your kids go off and they live by themselves and they have this whole separate life,
Yeah.
I mean, I accept it. I mean, I've done that, but at the same time, I think the Asian side is very much like, well, the whole idea is that you are together as a family, and I don't know if nowadays the generation is changing, but sort of intergenerational living, I think it's amazing and I think it's great, and I don't think we do enough of that. So I hope that I'd be invited by my kids to be part of that intergenerational living.
You switched your career like 2 times.
So I've kind of had a couple of career changes, which I think nowadays, especially for women, when they have different life transitions, life circumstances, that's kind of normal. Maybe the generation before might have been you do one job, one corporate job for quite a long time, but I think now people change as to their life circumstance.
But you changed twice.
Yeah.
First you changed to the like journalist.
Yes, I was,
in
you know, in
CNN.
finance. Then I worked in, journalism, and then from journalism I then switched into nutrition.
It's like 2 quite big switches, I would say. Yeah, it's like completely different areas.
Totally different.
What was the motivation? Were you scared to switch, like first time and second time?
Not my first time, because I didn't have kids then, and then I switched into nutrition because of my kids, and so it was almost like I didn't have a choice. So just to backtrack my story a little bit, when my daughter was about 1.5, she basically had an ear infection, and it was like a lot of mucus and a lot of blockages. I took her to specialists, and I went to about 4. And these specialists all told me antibiotics, surgery, you know, minor organ removal, you know, all of. So to me, I thought, this is a 1.5-year-old. She's not at school yet.
Yeah.
And I asked them, where is this infection coming from? Why? You know, and why it's one-sided. So from that experience, I realized that I was only going to get the symptomatic treatment. You know, you have an infection, this is how we can treat you, but they can't tell you where or why or how it started. Luckily, I found a practitioner who I worked with, and we sort of uncovered that it was related to food sensitivities, her reaction to certain foods. So from then, I deep dive, fell down a rabbit hole, and decided I wanted to go into nutrition. I think for me, I've always enjoyed working where I'm learning, and I feel that in switching to nutrition, you know, I had to do all the pre-med courses and, you know, that syllabus. But I was driven by the need to find an answer for my child, really. So I think that was that internal motivation that really was the driver. I was a little bit, I guess what you say, jaded or disillusioned by the medical system, and I thought they just want to short-term treat her, but they don't want to figure out why. What's the root cause? So for me, I thought, I've got to find that answer myself. No one's going to do it for me.